everybody, how's it going? So it's time for one of those moments where I'm really glad to have a movie channel, a platform where I can talk about films that I love, films that it really bugs me that some people haven't seen, and two films that I really want to talk about right now are Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure from 1989 and Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey from 1991. So Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was directed by Stephen Herrick and it stars Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves as Bill S. Preston Esquire and Ted Theodore Logan. These two are a couple of high school slackers, they're metalheads, all they want to do in life is start a band called Wild Stallions. However, problems arise when they have a history assignment in high school which they have to pass. If they don't pass it, they're going to flunk and they're going to get sent to military school, and Wild Stallions is never going to be. But what they don't realize is that Wild Stallions music is actually going to bring about world peace and harmony around the globe. Why not? So in order to help Bill and Ted pass their history assignment, a time traveler comes from the future and gives them a time machine which they can go back in history and learn about all these people that they're supposed to know about. People like Napoleon and Joan of Arc and Genghis Khan, Sigmund Freud, a whole bunch of historic characters. So like I said, this film came out in 1989 and it is loved by so many people. Like, I know there are people who think it's silly, and yeah, it is silly. But aside from leading to two sequels, one of which is coming out in August of this year, Bill and Ted Face the Music, it also pretty much launched the career of Keanu Reeves. I mean, he had done a couple of films prior to this one, but this was the one that really kind of made him a household name. And yeah, look, while the premise is silly, it's also a hell of a lot of fun. It's got a whole bunch of genres in it. You got action, comedy, adventure, sci-fi, and it's just one of those movies that it's not going to really enrich your life or make you a better person or anything like that, but it's just damn good fun. And a lot of that comes down to the chemistry between the two leads. Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves just were absolute magic together. Their characters were just, you know, these lovable slackers, these people who are just dumb as shit, but you just love them for that. And, you know, they had a lot of luck on their side. Like, the way that they get out of certain situations and everything is just relying heavily on luck, but the situations in the film are all really fun and enjoyable. We go through various periods in history like the Old West or ancient Greece, etc. And the ending, I'm not going to spoil anything for those who haven't seen it, but the ending is so triumphant. It is one of these really feel-good endings that, yeah, kind of motivates you. And the film also delivered a positive message. The motto of these two was be excellent to each other and party on, dudes. And as silly as that sounds, when you break it down into normal language, you know, it's just about being good to one another and having fun in life. And let's face it, those are two really important things and something that a lot of this world is sorely lacking. So after the success of the first film, so 2 years later came Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, in which our two characters wind up getting killed by evil robot versions of themselves that have come from the future, along with a main villain played by Joss Ackland. And while they're in the afterlife, they meet the Grim Reaper, who was played brilliantly by William Sadler, or Bill Sadler. His version of the Grim Reaper was just adorable. You just love this guy so much. And in order to get the Grim Reaper to help them get back to the real world, the whole thing was a parody on the Seventh Seal, which you sort of don't really expect in a film like this, but instead of just playing chess, they've got to play a whole bunch of different games in order to beat him. So they've got to get back to the real world, get back into their old bodies again, and once again form Wild Stallions and, you know, become this band that's going to basically bring about world peace. Now, this film took a really different turn to the first one, and I liked that. I liked that they didn't just do the same film as the first one again. This time around it was directed by Peter Hewitt, and it had a lot of sort of surreal stuff to it. There's a lot of things that just, I can't quite put my finger on it. It almost seemed like something out of a weird dream. And while a lot of critics and fans didn't think this movie was as good as the first one, and I do tend to agree with them, it's still a hell of a lot of fun, and in some ways it was better than the first. So that was back in 91, and now All these years later, we are finally getting a third film, and this movie is involving a lot of the same cast and crew as the previous two, which really speaks volumes for how much those first two films were loved. There's one thing that I'm very curious about how they're going to handle it, and that was that the late George Carlin, who was one of the greatest comedians who ever lived, played a character, Rufus, from the first two films, who was the guy who was sent back to inspire them to start this great band and to basically tell them about their future. And I'm kind of curious now that he's no longer with us, how they're going to handle the situation, because like Bill and Ted loved Rufus so much, you know, like he was their mentor in a way. And yeah, it's going to be interesting and a little bit heartbreaking to see exactly what they do with that. So this new one, Bill and Ted Face the Music, not a lot is known about the plot yet. We haven't had a trailer or anything like that. A couple of years ago, Keanu Reeves mentioned something about how they're still trying to create that perfect song that's going to catapult them into this, you know, mega band. They have kids now. Like, it's a real-time sequel, so they're now dads to these girls. But I don't really know, like, yeah, how all these characters fit together. I don't really know much about it at all, other than it is one of my most anticipated movies of this year because, like I said, I have so much love for the first two. And it just kind of shocks me that a lot of people I speak to have either not seen them or never heard of them, and that includes some people involved in the YouTube movie community. And I know it's, you know, the whole film thing is a subjective thing, like to, you know, what you love and what you don't love, but they really are great films and they really do have such a huge following. So I know that I'm not alone in my love of these movies. But if you are one of these people who has never seen the Bill and Ted films, I cannot recommend them strongly enough. If you're after a couple of wacky films that are just really good entertainment, feature great soundtracks. Both films, particularly the second one, have really amazing soundtrack albums to them. Then you gotta check these movies out. I'm not gonna do like a typical review thing and rate the films because, I mean, I just love them so much. I'll just give them both a 10 out of 10. But no, this is more of a thing like, yeah, just why you guys need to see these films if you haven't done so already. So thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me ramble on about how much I love the Bill and Ted films. And yeah, if you guys are as excited as I am about Bill and Ted Face the Music coming out this August, I'd love to know your thoughts. And yeah, which of the two were your favorite? Like, did you like the first one more or the second one? So fire away, drop me some comments either here, Facebook, or Twitter. All the social media links are in the description below. Because I like to talk about movies, I would love to talk about movies with you. Be excellent to each other and party on, dudes!
Click subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest movie reviews. Skynet will be taking over any day now, so what have you got to lose? Nyah.